Hello, this is Coach Chapel, coming to you live from room 220. This is the test review for... This is not going to work. This is the test review for the Stearns chapters 24 to 25 test. All right, number one, describe the main causes of the American Revolution. Enlightenment ideas, taxes, the British raising the taxes in the American colonies, but perhaps the biggest reason was just the American colonies' resistance to British rule. Question number two is the main cause and events of the French Revolution. The middle class revolt became pretty radical. The monarch felt that everyone existed to meet his needs, and the monarchs were living very luxurious lifestyles. And so there's a revolution. They, in essence, they behead the king, the Reign of Terror. Make sure you're familiar with that. And make sure you know that Maximilien Robespierre is a leader during the Reign of Terror. Number three talks about Napoleon's accomplishments. He took control of most of Western and Central Europe. And this is going to cause a rise in nationalism in Europe. And make sure that you know eventually what led to his downfall. So that's something that you'll need to look up. Question number four, what was the main accomplishment of the Congress of Vienna? What do you guys think? What's the three words you need to know? Not separation of power. Balance of power. Balance of power. So maintain the balance of power in Europe. That's the main, for number four, that's the main accomplishment of the Congress of Vienna. Good. Question number five, what did the Reform Bill of 1832 accomplish? It was legislation that was passed in Great Britain that extended the vote to most members of the middle class. Number six, give a detailed description of the Industrial Revolution. It started in England. Make sure you go through that list that I gave you of why it was England that it started. Do you remember any of the reasons why it was England? They had the natural resources. They were going through an economic boom already. They had a more fluid social structure. Do y'all remember that list? Right. So great. So make sure that you look up those things. It started in England. Make sure you know why it was specifically England, and say, there's a reason it was England and not France or Germany or America, for that matter. Okay. Started in England. It sent European powers in search of natural resources. So a lot of these European powers, because of the Industrial Revolution, are going to go out, setting up new colonies to exploit these colonies for their natural resources. Mechanization started in the textile industry. That's the first industry where we really start to see machines taking over, manual labor. So mechanization in the textile industry. And one of the main causes is going to be urbanization. It's really going to cause urbanization to go through the roof, the process of people moving from rural into urban areas. Question number seven, give an overview of socialism/Marxism. These movements are a response to capitalism. It is a response to capitalism. Quote unquote, the evils of capitalism. The biggest complaint was that the wealthy factory owners were taking advantage of the working class people. And the vast majority of the population was what? Was working class. So the concept here is that if the government controls the means of production, it's going to promote more what? Equality. Good. It's going to create more equality. Great. Question number 8. Describe Romanticism. It's an artistic and a literary movement in the 19th century in Europe, and it held that emotion and impression, not reason, were the keys to the mysteries of the human experience. And it also talks about nature, and it sought to portray passions, not calm reflection. Question number 9, what were the main causes of World War I? I would probably argue, first and foremost, it's the alliance system. And make sure you know the alliance system. The Triple Alliance is Austria-Hungary, Germany, and what's the third country there? Italy. And then the Triple Entente is Britain, France, and Russia. Good. And also, what's probably the spark? What's the one event that most people point to and say, this is very good? The assassination of Archduke Ferdinand. Great. Question number 10. Briefly describe European imperialism. Basically, the Europeans felt that they were superior to everybody else. And when they so they went out and claimed new land. They used government officials, missionaries, and even farmers helped control the new territories that they claimed. Question 11 is about Britain's control of India. The British East India Company employed the Indian troops, and what are these Indian troops called? Sepoys, very good. The British Raj, that's a key term that group spoke about today. The British Raj ruled over India. The British took over coastal areas first and then moved where? Inland, very good. And because the Indians were so politically fragmented, it made it very easy for the British to take control over them. Scroll down on the... What question are we on? 12? Yeah. All right. Question number 12, explain the history of European control of South America. South Africa, thank you. South Africa. Who settled there first? The Dutch. The Dutch settled there first. It was called Cape Colony. Today we refer to it as Cape Town, Cape Colony. Then the British pushed the Dutch inland, and that event was called what? The Great Trek. Great. The discovery of diamonds is going to heighten the tension in the area. So when they discover this very precious natural resource in the area, there's going to be a lot of tension between the British and the Dutch for control of the area. Question 13, which European nation exerted the most control and influence over Indonesia? Dutch, excellent. Number 14, define settlement colonies and tropical dependencies. The group today did a great job explaining the difference between tropical dependencies and, what was the other one? Settlement colonies. Look at page 601 for that. Page 601 of the textbook is what I would look at if you want to go further into detail more than what the notes that were given today. Number 15, explain the Scramble for Africa. Now, what this is this is a time period, the Scramble for Africa, basically what's happening is, remember, when the European colonies first start to exploit Africa, it's for what? What are they trying to get? Slaves first. First and foremost, it's slaves. And they just kind of pull up on the coast, and they pick up the slaves, and they take them to the New World. As time progresses, though, the Europeans are going to move further and further where? Inland. Further and further inland, going after resources and things like that. So the Scramble of Africa basically is where the European countries literally do what? Divide Africa up. They have a conference in Berlin. It's called the Berlin Conference. And literally what they do is the European powers sit around and they look at a map of Africa and they say, France, you get this. Italy, you can have this part of Africa. The British get this part of Africa. And they literally divide Africa up. Okay? And the motivation there is they're trying to get natural resources. This is going to cause, though, the rivalries between the European nations to heighten because of the competition. Europe was so dominant. Why? What's the main reason the Europeans were dominant? Advanced technology. The technological advancements that they had. Very good. What's the one part of Africa that is not successfully taken? The one part that kind of always maintains their independence? Ethiopia. Ethiopia. They stay independent. Italy doesn't get them until around World War II. All right, Mussolini takes over Ethiopia, but that's very short-lived. Okay. Number 16, describe the annexation of Hawaii. One of the things to keep in mind is that when the Europeans first arrived in Hawaii, Hawaii already had their own government set up. There was a king. They governed themselves. It wasn't like the area was just free and open for people to take. So one of the things that happens in Hawaii is planters, and when I say planters, I'm talking about what? Farmers. They staged a coup, an overthrow of the government, so that the U.S. government could exert control and further the annexation of Hawaii. That's described in the book, so make sure that you look at that section in more detail. Again, remember, this review video is not exhaustive. This is just to do what? Exactly. Get you looking in the right direction so that you can focus your studying. And number 17, describe Europeans' interactions with New Zealand. People going after timber and people going after, what's the big fishing industry in New Zealand? I can't say the word right, and I'm embarrassed to say it. Whalers? People, yes, that are hunting whale. I always pronounce it like well, like W-E-L-L. Whalers. Whalers. Did I say it right? Wait. Did I get it? People going after big fish. Yes, I guess you're right. They are mammals. Sorry, science guy. The whalers and the timber merchants are the first people to arrive in New Zealand, and they come in contact with the Maori people. And one of the things that's interesting, though, is the Maori people in New Zealand are successful in maintaining their own national identity. So that's important and significant. All right, short answers. There's going to be two, and you have to do both of them. One is going to be about the Industrial Revolution, and the second one is going to be about the American and the French Revolution. Does that make sense? So I put all three on there. First short answer is going to have something to do with the Industrial Revolution, and the second short answer is going to have to do with both the French and the American Revolution. Okay? Good luck studying, and should we bring her out again? No. We miss you, Taylor. Thanks again for the doll.